Alrighty. We are live. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Ruin an Hour, a safe place to talk about anything from sobriety, addiction, depression, anxiety, balance, and life. We are live every single week, at least once, on Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And today, we got my very good friend and mentor, LUSH One, in the house, everybody. Whoops, I actually turned you off. All right, there we go. All right, Lush, how you doing, bro?
Great to see you, man. Great to be here. Grateful and blessed to have an opportunity to continue to talk to the people. And all of y'all that are watching, I hope that everyone is feeling good and enjoying life as much as possible. Hopefully there's a glimmer of sunlight that we can see throughout, despite the overall gray skies of this murky new world. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like hopefully things are starting to get better for everybody. We all go through it every day in one way or another, but we're still here, you know? Could have woke up dead today. God had somebody wake up dead today, but it wasn't you. 100%, I know for a fact it was not you.
I like that. It was kind of interesting, man, like speaking on that about how, you know, the overall general sense of sadness sweeping across everybody, like, I guess, like a sort of general state of depression, maybe. I watched like a video today, which is hilarious. I've been into this podcast called I Am Athlete, and it's they usually have pro football players on. They had Cam Newton on. It was really cool. And they had another pro football player on there, and he actually like talked a lot about like male vulnerability and how that's like kind of just now getting more acceptable and how important it is. But more importantly, I watched one this morning with Jake Paul. Do you know who Jake Paul is?
Unfortunately.
The YouTuber, he boxes now.
Yeah.
And he was talking about some really interesting stuff, talking about how he was, you know, his upbringing, being in the limelight, also being really, really wealthy, really popular, really famous at a really young age. And he was like, I was 22 with more money in my pocket than I knew what to do with. He's like, I had like a crazy identity crisis. I didn't know who I was. And it's so insane to think about that, because if you were to ask most people in the world, like, what do you want? It's probably, I want to be financially,
I want money.
Stable, yeah. And here this guy is, who's famous, has tons of money, young. Every opportunity is available to him, and he's not happy, and he's confused and doesn't know what he wants. And then also I was watching a podcast, I think it's called like Off Camera or something like that, with the guy that's dating Kristen Bell, Dax. I forgot his last name. You know who he is, though, right? Yeah, Dax Shepard. He's sober, and he was talking about his road to rock bottom. And basically, before he really got like his first big break in the movie industry, he was just like going on bender after bender. And he went on one bender where he was like coming back from a bar, picked up like 2 cases of beer, a handle of something, and then like next thing he knows, he wakes up and it's nighttime outside. And he's like, okay, it must be like the later on tonight or whatever. And come to find out, he like basically that was a Friday night that he last remembers, and it's Monday night, and he basically just blacked out for 3 days, went through like pills, coke, alcohol, and he that didn't even get him sober. Like, hitting rock bottom didn't even get him sober. What got him sober actually was he was taking a vacation to Hawaii, went to the airport, and he's like, okay, I need some alcohol to get me through this flight. He goes to the bar, and like he's like, people, you know, I'm at the stage in my career where people notice me at the airport. They're like, oh, it's that guy, it's that actor. Even if they don't know his name, they like recognize him, you know. And he's at the bar, and there's this mirror right next to him at the bar, you know, and he's like downing these drinks just to try to get a buzz to get on the flight to maybe like pass out. And he looks at himself, and he's like, he kind of has this point where he like analyzes his life. He's like, I have right now what I've worked my whole life to try to get. I'm like reasonably famous. I have all these people willing to pay me money to be in this movie. Like, I have it. I have what I've worked my whole life for, but I'm still unhappy. And I thought that was so interesting, these two people that have, like, basically all these virtues and goals of what everybody attains to be, or, like, attains to want, like being rich, you know, or, like, being famous, and they still have, like, a great sense of unhappiness. And I thought that was so fucking interesting. It's just very interesting how, like, depression nowadays is being talked about a lot more, and I feel like finally it's getting, like, out into the open, and we're coming to notice that, like, just a lot of fucking people are depressed. You know, it's like Robin Williams,
Absolutely.
you know, like, committed suicide, and we, like, I watched fucking Mrs. Doubtfire the other day, and I was just watching that movie being like, how this guy was depressed. This is he seems literally like the happiest man to ever live, you know, and it's just so insane.
Well, it's like the concept of tears of a clown, essentially. You know what I mean? Like, that's a lot of times the people that those of us that are in the public eye, especially, we're projecting an image and trying to be so much for so many different people that we often have a hard time living for ourselves. And, you know, I say that like, I'm a part of that because I can relate to it, but on a microcosmic scale compared to somebody like Robin Williams, you know what I mean? Like, who has so much adulation, so many expectations of him, so much attention, so much pressure. And I can definitely understand, just like on the much smaller level that I've had to deal with it, what an enormous undertaking that would be, and, like, why he would succumb to depression. Makes a lot of sense, you know. And as far as the financial stability being mutually exclusive with being content and serenity and happiness, I can think of countless examples. You know, I was literally just talking to one of my close friends who, this is a dude who's lived a really crazy life. You know, he was in prison for a couple years. All kinds of gnarly shit happened to him, and now he's a multi-millionaire in the green rush, the booming industry that is the cannabis industry, and the you know, THC, CBD, and all that. And this dude is literally driving around. He's got a Beamer and a Maserati and a luxury apartment. Owns everything he could possibly want. You know, the nicest clothes, the nicest jewelry. His whole entire family's taken care of, and he told me that he's essentially miserable, and the happiest he's ever been in his life is when he was broke, because the amount of responsibilities and stress and pressure of maintaining that lifestyle is all-consuming, not knowing who to trust. Like, and me, like, I can say that I feel far more content living the exceedingly simple I strive for simplicity. That's something that I'm trying to get, you know what I mean? And it's difficult like, it's a really difficult balance beam to walk across, trying to balance success and being content and, you know, simplifying things, because any time that I've been the most monetarily successful and had the most going on, it's also the most chaotic and dysfunctional times of my life.
Yeah, that's very true. I think when I had the most money I've ever had, like, I still remember, like, bringing home a check from, like, visual effects that was, like, probably what people make in their year of salary one time, when I was just doing an ass load of double time. Like, I was, like, living at the studio, and I remember just being like, this doesn't even matter. Like, this money is going to be gone. Like, I'm not going to remember this. What I am going to remember is how miserable I was during this fucking time, you know? And that money is gone. It's like, I don't fucking have that money anymore, you know? It's like, comes and goes, you know? But you can't buy that time back at all, you know? And it's not like I was working my ass towards anything I was passionate about or, like, truthfully loved, where it's like that labor was going to be gratifying in that sense. But, yeah, it's very interesting.
Absolutely, and it's important for me, like, that's why it's a timely conversation for us to choose this topic, progress, not perfection, because it's, you know, as I as of you, as I've accumulated over a year, I'm in my 14th month of sobriety.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
From all drugs and alcohol.
Let's go.
A lot of the same character defects and behavioral patterns that were running rampant and consuming my life during addiction are popping back up. A lot of the same issues that I had are popping back up, and so it's my inclination when I face this is to just shut down, feel defeated, get down on myself, be like, is it even worth it? Why the hell did I get sober? I still am the same asshole I was. I just don't feel as good. I'm just more aware of it, hyper aware of all of my inconsistencies and mistakes because I'm not numbing my feelings. So here I am stewing in the same pot of shit that I was in when I was in an active addiction, except for I don't even have a nose plug so I can smell everything. You know what I mean? Like, and that's that right there. Like, it's important for me in those moments to remember. It's this whole entire journey is based on progress, not perfection. There's going to be bumps in the road. There's going to be mistakes. I'm going to slip, but as long as I stay on the path, and I haven't used, you know what I mean? So thank God I haven't used. So it could be worse, but even if I did, or someone does relapse, it doesn't mean that the journey is over, you know what I mean? We got to continue forward, we got to continue pushing, no matter what. But luckily I haven't. But the thing that scares me are these character defects. This is essentially addict behavior. So all I am is one line, one pill, one shot, one joint away from it being an actual relapse. So just got to make sure I maintain the course.
How do you, like, when I'm assuming you're struggling with, like, maybe like dishonesty or something like that. Like, how do you cope with that? Because there are times I feel like in our lives where, like, not really like lying, but I guess like not being like just like super brutally honest with somebody isn't exactly the most appropriate thing to do. How do you walk yourself through that and like know that, like, okay, I'm doing what's right in this moment. I'm not like, this doesn't mean that I'm going to go out and use like the next day, just to kind of build yourself a stairway back to the path that you were on before.
Like I said, this is progress, not perfection. So ideally, I need to live a life of rigorous honesty. And I don't have the luxury of telling white lies. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be a lot easier to tell somebody, hey, no, I'm sorry, I can't come to your birthday party because, I got all this stuff going on and I just can't make it. As opposed to saying, like, hey, like, I don't feel spiritually fit enough to go to your birthday party. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not in a good place. Or, I promised my fiance that I would do this instead. Like, it doesn't sound as cool, or it's going to make me look some type of way. Like, what's the easy way out? I don't have the luxury of doing that. But, of course, inevitably, I'm going to make those kind of mistakes. So one thing that's important is there needs to be somebody, just one person in the world at least, that I'm completely honest with. So when these dishonesties come up, I hold myself accountable. Like, ideally what I would do, and what I've tried to do, and for the most part have done, is catch myself and be like, hey, remember earlier when I said to you, like, yeah, I finished writing that verse for our song, you know what I mean? Like, I lied. It's not done being written yet, you know what I mean? I'm probably not gonna have it for a couple more days. And I've had to do things like that multiple times. But even if that proves to be too daunting and I just can't bring myself to nut up to do that, at least there needs to be somebody, like my sponsor in 12-step program, or my fiance, or whoever it is. I need to be honest with somebody so that whatever that lie that I've told doesn't have absolute power over me.
Yeah.
As long as there's somebody that I'm being rigorously honest with. And that's been something that's super important to me. Recently I went back to the treatment center that I graduated from over 7 months ago. Well, I was there for 4 months, and then I was in sober living for 2 months. They wound up flying me out and putting me up in a hotel to be basically like the face of their new commercial and using my recovery as an example. And on top of that, speak to all the people that are in treatment now. And who, you know, of all the people that I do service work for, I do a lot of speaking engagements, things like that. They are the closest to my heart because they are a part of this same brotherhood of recovery. You know, like, and the place I went to is called BRC in Manor, Texas, right outside of Austin, which is funny because battle rap culture, BRC. But this one's called Bringing Real Change, and it's an amazing program. But it's a real like pound you in the ass, hardcore 12-step boot camp for chronic relapsers. That's not really like the type of place you go if you think you might have a drinking problem, or you know what I mean, like you want to slow down on doing cocaine with hookers once a month or what, you know what I mean? Like, this is for people that have basically burnt their lives to the ground, and this is their last chance to get it right. You know what I mean? So the people there, they definitely hold a special place in my heart, and it was definitely like, it was gratifying on multiple levels, but also it like served my ego quite a bit to be like, oh, of everybody, I'm so fucking cool and work such a good program, they're going to choose me of everybody to do it when there's all these other people that have gotten sober there. And you know, all it's because I'm so awesome and I have social media following, and you know, the people that run the place love me, and you know, all of which are true to an extent, but like, you know, I definitely had to check my ego a little bit and realize that this isn't about me, this isn't about my ego, this is about me helping other people, and I need to be grateful for the opportunity and grateful that I even have enough sobriety that other one and clean time that other people would even want to listen to me on this. And overall, it was a great thing, but it definitely being there kind of just flooded back with memories. It was very like nostalgic and almost like overwhelming being there. And one of the things I remembered was my final month when my final month of being at this place. So typically it's a 3-month program, but the majority of all people that go there, they're going to keep you for 4 months. If you have enough insurance or money, or essentially you're privileged enough to stay for 4 months, unless your family or you're paying it for yourself or your family doesn't want you to, they're going to keep you for 4. And that's just the way it works. You know what I mean? But, you know, like, when I was there, all I was focused on is getting out. You know what I mean? At the beginning, I didn't even care about, I wanted to be sober. I didn't have like an inclination that I wanted to keep using. I was like, damn, like, my addiction has been fucking up my life for so long. And then here I am in my late 30s when I'm supposed to have everything together, supposed to be focused on, you know, getting married, having kids, and parlaying all the fruits of my labor into something substantial that I could live off of for the rest of my life and feed my kids with. At this point, I'm here with all these damn junkies, and I'm one of them too. And in fact, I have a worse addiction than a lot of people there. So I acknowledged that, and I was aware of it, and I definitely didn't want to, like, I wasn't like, in treatment in the past, I was like, I can't wait to get out of here so I can get high. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just like buying time and trying to appease either my family, significant other, the state of California, whatever, until I'm able to get high again. As soon as they're not fucking holding my dick, trying to analyze every droplet of urine to see what my content of drugs is, I'm going back to using. This time it wasn't like that. Like, I genuinely was like, I want to stop using, but I didn't really care. Like, my primary objective wasn't making the most out of my experience. It was getting back, being with my fiance, getting the hell out of here. You know what I mean? Like, getting out of this situation, again, going back to the main like character traits which epitomize my addiction, which is trying to feel better, trying to delay consequences, trying to escape from the dismal reality of what I'm going through and my actual fate, and without any regard of how my actions affect my overall trajectory in life or anybody that cares about me. Like, I didn't give a fuck, you know what I mean? It was all about how I felt. Who cares how my actions affect others as long as I don't have to feel my feelings? That was my primary goal at any given moment in life. Now, at that moment, I was like, I just wanted to get out. So I was like, what do I have to do? Because these people they're not going to let me out. They're too smart and too savvy. They can see through, they know my moves before I bust them. You know what I mean? Like, these are the paradigm of mental health and recovery specialists. Like, they know. So I was like, what can I do? Well, I could just work the best program I possibly can and hope that they let me out. And I saw that there was like this thing, you either get out in 3 months or 4 months. So I'm like, if I work my fucking ass off and do this program perfectly, I'm gonna get to go home. They're not gonna keep me for 4 months. So it's kind of like an inmate, you know, and you have you're doing fucking a 3 to 9 year sentence. You know, you could possibly be in there for 9, but if you stay by the book and do your work detail to the best ability and like placate the judge, you'll be let out in a few years. And that's pretty much what I was doing. Like, I was doing my bid, trying to get out. And at a certain point in there, all of the like incessant brainwashing, for lack of a better word, that they were subjecting me to started to actually take hold, and I was genuinely starting to change, but not fully, you know. And when that 3rd month was coming to a close, and they told me that I was going to need to stay for another month, I was completely devastated. You know what I mean? And I tried to keep a happy face on, because in my mind, I was still trying to manipulate the system. And I was still like trying to be like, well, maybe if I bust my ass really hard, they'll let me out early still. And which was delusional thinking, 100%. And then at that point, I'm glad that I feel like that 4th month is what saved my life. And when I really got all the benefits of the program, because all of the lies, all the inconsistencies, all the stage characters, everything that I had come in to treatment harboring creeped back up again. And I basically, that's when I had to address them. It's like playing a video game when you beat all the bosses, you know, Mike Tyson's Punch Out, you know, you beat fucking, you beat Glass Joe once, you beat Don Flamingo once, you beat Piston Honda once, but you're gonna have to fight them all again in a stronger form. And that's what it was like with me and my character defects. They all came back, and I really had to apply what I learned. I really had to utilize the tools of recovery that had come up for me, and I realized at that point, like, hey, this is part of the process, and this is why it's all about progress and not perfection, because it's impossible to do things perfectly, and things are going to pop up, and how you deal with them and how you deal with these difficulties and inconsistencies as we face them, that's what's going to define my long-term recovery. That's what's going to see if I'm in it for the long haul or not. And it's kind of the same thing happening again to me now. Like, a lot of the same issues that were popping up then, here they are again now, full circle, and I don't have the, you know, I'm jumping out of a window now, and there's no motherfucking parachute. There's no trampoline on the ground. Like, now I don't have that safety net to protect me of being in treatment. If I want to use, I can. If I want to burn my life to the ground, there's not going to be a whole entire medical staff and a bunch of other people going through the same thing that are operating as a sober community to have my back. I need to do this with God within myself, and the people I choose to put myself around and the situations I choose to subject myself to, that's what's ultimately going to make or break me. But I have the choice, and these issues are popping up for me tenfold, and you know what I mean? I just gotta face them and realize that this is part of the game, you know? Like, so many times when I was in treatment, like, I wanted to, like, you know, within a month of being in treatment, I basically Pokey evolved into the snitch-ass hall monitor that I despised my entire life. And if other people were breaking the rules, we're encouraged to hold each other accountable. And I did that, but, like, damn near excessively. Like, I became, like, so by the book. Like, I became obsessed with recovery, almost like on a fascist scale. And my own recovery, other people's, and at the end of the day, like, I tried not to break any rules so much, it became, like, beyond excessive, like, unpractical, you know what I mean? Like, and when I would break the rules, because I wouldn't want to appear like I broke them, I would, like, manipulate the situation and lie about them, which is the number one thing I'm not supposed to be doing, ironically. Like, I remember there was a homework assignment that I did. We had, like, several assignments we had to do all the time based on, like, sobriety work, writing, you know, translating text, all this different stuff. And I was behind, and I was like, and I was running to my room to go do something. A couple of the counselors were like, yo, like, you all right, fool? Like, where are you running right now? And I was like, man, I didn't finish my homework. I'm tripping out, but I did it already. Like, I did my homework. I just can't find it. I don't know where it's at. And they're like, don't even worry about it. You know, like, you didn't do your homework, so what? And I'm like, no, but I've never missed an assignment. Like, since I've been here, I've never missed an assignment. That can't happen. And I realized at the end of the day, like, they're like laughing at me essentially at that point. And then I was like, you know what? Like, it's okay to mess up. Just be honest about it. Why am I running and hiding from what's going on? Like, that right there is more indicative of my addict behavior and sickness than me missing an assignment. Everybody's gonna mess up occasionally. Like, you know, I would be like, we weren't allowed to drink juice out of the refrigerator past a certain time, and like, I got a couple glasses of juice, and by the end of being there, I realized if they asked me if I stole the juice, instead of trying to hide it so I wouldn't get in trouble, I'd be like, yeah, I stole the motherfucking juice. So what? What are you gonna do about it? I stole the juice. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, you know what I mean? And I didn't realize that me being honest was more important than me not drinking the juice to begin with. I know it sounds so petty, but when you're in treatment, your world becomes so small and insular that the littlest things have so much more gravity than they really do. You know what I mean? Like, if I fucking missed a shot in volleyball, it would consume my emotions for hours. If I forgot to say something in a share that I wanted to express, that would completely eat my lunch, and I'd be thinking about it all day. You know, like, I'd be running up to the other people and being that I was in the group with and being like, no, but what I meant to say was this, like, as if anybody else was even thinking about what I said 30 seconds after I stopped talking. You know, like, so progress, not perfection.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's huge. That's really big. Elk Bomb in the chat brought up a pretty good point that I want to talk to you about. He says, I disagree with calling them character defects. I see them as parts of you trying to protect you from shame and emotional pain. Those parts need your acceptance if they're going to find new roles. Thought that was interesting.
No, and that's, I think there's a lot of truth to that. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, anything that's not me being in my authentic self and moving in a spiritual way that's benefiting the world at large and myself, it's like, it's not me operating at maximum capacity. When I talk about character defects, and you know, at the end of the day, it's semantics, because the same concept that you're saying, I completely agree with, but me defining them as character defects is things that I know I don't need, whether or not, yes, these are what I'm doing to keep me safe keep me sane, but they're improper. They're improper tools, and that's
Yeah.
not what I need to utilize. Like, I don't need to be arrogant. I don't need to be a people pleaser. I don't need to be selfish. I don't need to
Yeah.
be judgmental. You know what I mean? Like, these are things that may have helped me in certain capacity in the past, but never for long-term growth. So that's why I look at them as character defects, because they're things that I'd like to improve about myself. And what I do about them is, like, I ask, like, I meditate about it, I pray about it, I literally ask God to remove these things, because they're not doing anything for me at all. All they're doing is keeping me operating at a low frequency and not being the best version of myself possible. But that's a very good point too, L-Bomb, and I agree as well.
What happened in your treatment center? Like, we're talking about progress, not perfection. Like, what actually happens when people relapse in treatment?
When people relapse in treatment, they get put in the center of a circle, and everybody beats the shit out of them. We DP them for 30 seconds. Now, it depends. You know what I mean? Like really, like, it basically what it does. From what I never, thankfully, did it. You know what I mean? Like, I've definitely used in treatment centers in the past, but this time, since I got to detox, I've been sober, clean and sober the whole time. The last time I used was at the airport on the way to, and I'm still fucking pissed off about this, because my last drink was just, I had 2 Coronas. I really wish that I went out like a savage and just, chugged a bottle of Jack or something, but
Yeah.
just 2 little bitch ass Coronas was my last drink. But rest assured, I was told by the guy that took me to treatment that I chugged them like a champ, apparently. So I don't know. What typically happens is called a program reset. So basically, like, you have to go back to the beginning of your treatment. You know what I mean? Like, and you have to go through everything you've already done. They make you do a thing called a relapse autopsy, where you just have to essentially fill out a bunch of paperwork and do a thorough self-analysis and have a bunch of people hold you accountable. There's been a couple people that, if it happens really early in your treatment, like, it doesn't really seem to have as much of an effect. I know a couple people that left and wound up getting drunk, or went to the train station to go home and did some heroin, and, you know what I mean? And then wound up coming back, and they had only been there for a couple days, though, so it didn't really change anything for them,
Yeah.
At the end of the day, this isn't prison. Like, there's no walls keeping us in. Like, we're paying to fucking get help,
Yeah.
So we have to want it. There's other people that have been there for a while. This one dude stole a bunch of medication from, like, the nurse's office, like, when the guy wasn't looking, took a bunch of pills and took them, and wound up, you don't really, like, get in trouble. It's more like you just get sent back to what you were already doing. So if you're on the 3rd step, you got to go back to the 1st step, and if you're already, regardless of a 12-step program or not, you're going to have to, like, do everything that you already did all over again, essentially, and it's going to just delay the entire process of your treatment.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I was always curious about that. But
No, he just boo-bop you for 15 seconds.
yeah, totally.
13-second Chekiato, Holmes.
But yeah, I mean, the whole thing about progress, not perfection, is a really great concept to remember when you're trying to improve in anything in life, is that we're not perfect. You never will be. You will always have faults, and that's fine. That's okay. That's like the beauty in life, is that life is imperfect, and you get to constantly work at yourself. You will never be this 100% impervious fucking godlike thing that, like, never makes a mistake. It's like, you're gonna make a mistake in the future. I'll probably make a mistake fucking today. Like, it happens, you gotta grow and learn from it and just keep going forward. But yeah,
something that I do is when I do my morning prayers and meditations, one of the things that I express gratitude for is thank you for helping me learn from my mistakes that I made yesterday, improve upon them, and be a better person in the process. So that's literally like, because inevitably I am going to make mistakes. And when I do my nightly inventory, like, I always have to answer the question. And there's always something. How was I resentful? How was I dishonest? You know what I mean? Like, what could I have done better? So that no matter what, even me at my best, I'm still resentful. I'm still dishonest. I'm still a habitual slipper, making all kinds of mistakes. And you know that doesn't just refer to people in recovery. That transcends these issues. That's humanity in general, and that's why it's referred to as humanity. And that's why we use the phrase "I'm only human," because none of us are God. None of us are perfect.
Yeah, 100%. And also, change is a process. It's not an event. Like, this shit just doesn't happen. Like, you just don't fucking, like, one day decide to change and you're, boom, a changed man. Oh, man, I got sober, like, this many days ago. And it's like not that day. It's the journey. It's the path. It's every day. You know, it's every minute. You know, and those minutes change from 1 minute to the next. You know, it's like each decision isn't going to be the same. You know, each environment you're in isn't going to be the same. You know, like, things happen in life. You know, COVID, like, you lose your job, like, anything can happen, man. And like, I think it's just you gotta also, like, weigh the expectations within yourself, and not have, like, this crazy, like, almost like elitist expectation of, like, you will be perfect all the time and you don't fuck up, because that's what's gonna fuck you up.
Well, and like you hit the nail on the head, because to me, when I'm striving for perfection in such a grandiose way, that's me being egotistical. That's me literally epitomizing some of the, hate to use the phrase, no, like, so don't pay no mind to this elf bomb, but these character defects, which I'm striving to be free of, you know what I mean? And there I am epitomizing them when I'm trying to be, because at the end of the day, I'm not perfect. I never will be. And for me to even attempt to be, or insinuate that I possibly can, is my ego running rampant to the umpteenth degree.
Totally. And it's just about, like, embracing those things more so than, like, being like, fuck, I fucked up, nothing's gonna change, why am I doing this, you know, like, why am I even here, you know, like, I thought it was really interesting when you were talking about, like, I can just, like, now I just don't have a nose plug, and I'm just, like, more aware of everything I'm doing, you know. But that's, like, a great thing, you know. It's like really good that you're, like, aware of it now, because I know in the past when I've done terrible things, I, like, know they're horrible, and while I'm doing them, but I just dismiss them, like, whatever, you know. And it's because I'm in my addictive nature, you know. I'm able to do that. I'm able to just turn off my morale, you know, and just be like, whatever, you know, I'm a piece of shit. I know that this is bad, but now it's like when I do those, it, like, fucking haunts me, you know. It will haunt me, like, you know, the thought of things, like, really, like, resonates deep within me. And I think that's great that, like, those things are resonating within you. It's like you haven't even really, it's not even like you relapsed or anything. You're just, like, noticing that you're doing these habits that you did when you were in your addictive depths. And I think that's really, really important to be able to, like, call out. Like, even having that clarity is something that's probably super new, you know?
Absolutely. It's something like, I'm the type of person that it got to a point where I was still, like, I would hate to brush my teeth because I didn't want to look at myself in the mirror, you know what I mean? Like, I did not even, or when I would look at myself in the mirror, I would close my eyes because I didn't want to see the physical effects that the drugs had taken on me. And I also didn't even want to look into my own soul and just see how lost and damaged I was. So, like, reality was something that didn't really jive with me well. That's why, like, you know, we've talked about before, I was always behind a pair of glasses because I didn't want people to see my eyes and see the effects that the drugs were having on them, but also how shifty they were and how insecure I was and whatever weaknesses that I might have had at the moment. And now it's like, I don't even, it can be sunny as hell out and I have a nice collection of designer shades, and I still don't even wear them bitches. Like,
Yeah.
because I want to look people in the eye.
Totally,
I
man.
want you to see how genuine I am.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. I mean, that's progress in itself, right there. You know, and it's wild to think, you know, like you've come really far where in your journey, you know, but it's really hard to imagine that this far in that you would just have everything figured out. It's like you're in your 30s. You're not gonna fucking have the secret to life. You're not gonna know every bit and piece about yourself. Like even, you know, I talk to, you know, like people and they're like, oh, he's this old, like he'll never change, that's how he is. And I always say that's fucking bullshit. That's the
Right.
most like bitch ass excuse I've ever heard. Like, oh, I'm 70, like, and I'm, you know, I might get cancer and I've been smoking my whole life, but that doesn't, like, why quit now? And it's just like, what? Be good to get healthy? Like, what? That doesn't mean you can't stop something just because you've been doing it for a long amount of time, you know. And also,
Yeah.
it's incredibly egotistical to think that at any age you will know yourself 1,000%, you know. And if anything, that's like super ignorant. It's like I want to keep like learning and growing and like discovering new things about myself, you know. And this is probably uncomfortable for you, but this is like part of that process, you know.
Dude, 100%. And you know, in reference to what you said, my dad got sober off drinking in his 70s. You know what I mean?
Oh wow,
He's in his 70s and he got sober. So, you know, like,
that's impressive.
there is no excuse. Yeah, it is. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't have been tripping if he could have drank himself to death and it would have been fine. And his addiction didn't even manifest itself until he was like in his late 50s, early 60s, regardless. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
but, you know, here he is now in his 70s, and so we go to the same meetings and stuff. Like, so which is a beautiful thing. And I can't tell you how proud I am of him to do that when he doesn't. It's not like he's retired. He doesn't need to really do it. He just did it because he wanted to make my mom's life easier and him to just have a stronger recollection of the twilight years of his existence. So like, it's a beautiful thing, man, and it is never too late to get it. And you know, me even talking about it makes me realize just how, at the end of the day, it's important for me to just look at how far I've come, and like you said, look at like the positives and remain grateful for the positives of everything that I've learned, of everything that I embody, of all the people that I've been able to help, of all the strides in my own life that I've taken. Like, yeah, of course there's going to be bumps in the road. Of course I'm not going to be perfect, but I got to, as long as I'm aware of it and I'm trying my best, I'm going to keep on going. You know, even the best baseball players, their batting averages are like in the 300s, you know what I mean? Which means the 6 to 7 times out of 10 they're getting out. They're only getting on base 3 times, maybe 4 out of every 10 at bats, and that's the best in the world. So, you know,
yeah, it's
no
important
such thing as perfection.
for sure, definitely. And it's also, like you said, it's really important for you to, when you're going through something like making mistakes or like you do something that you like consider out of character, it's important to practice gratitude that you have the ability to even make those mistakes and learn from them, you know, like where in the past
Right.
you'd probably just make those mistakes and you wouldn't think anything of it. You're like, ah, fuck it, whatever, you know. It's like brushes off.
Of course, I didn't even I wouldn't even acknowledge it, and I didn't even have the frame of mind to look at them as mistakes, because I actually thought I was perfect and was entitled, and it didn't matter how my actions affected other people. All that mattered was my own immediate happiness. So anything that threatened that's somebody else fucking up, essentially.
Yeah, 100%. Do you feel like your sobriety has brought you more in tune with other people?
Oh yeah, like my emotional intelligence has grown leaps and bounds, and I've always had a lot of empathy, but the burden of empathy is actually feeling, which I didn't like to do. So I would kind of almost like use my empathy in a manipulative kind of way so I could like know how to read people, so I could get whatever I wanted out of them. You know what I mean? And knew the right words to say in any particular instance. But now that I actually don't need to use people like that and don't want to, now that I'm, you know what I mean? Yeah, I have a much greater ability, and I'm also a lot more present. You know what I mean? I'm not thinking about other things. I'm not thinking about what I'm gonna do next, being high and not be like, I could be present, and when a bunch of people are all hanging out, I'm absorbing everything that's going on. I'm fully engaged in the conversation. I don't need to be on my phone the whole time or doing some other shit. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the phone thing is pretty interesting, like that, because I'm not on social media anymore. I actually have nothing on my phone that really like I could even get on, and like besides YouTube, which it's like I still do that bullshit, but that's like something that I'm gonna try to weed out. But the
that's
addiction,
not really social media per se.
totally, but I'll use it kind of for the same purpose sometimes when I'm like with people. I'll like get on YouTube and like look at comments or something, which is I need to fucking just stop doing that. But yeah, the addiction to the phone is interesting. That's like, that basically is something to it's fucking a drug. It's like takes you out of your uncomfortability and puts you back in a zone that you're comfortable with. Like, oh, let me go back to my social media group that I've built where everybody agrees with me and will gratify me whenever I say something, will like these pics whenever I post them. You know, it's like it does the same thing as a drug does, where it just brings you back down to like where I'm comfortable and safe and I know everything is okay. You know, I'm like, I'll see people like it's just wild. Like, you know, at this battle event this weekend, I was looking around, and during battles, there's hella people just on their fucking phones, and I'm just like, this is insane. You guys are literally at something to entertain you. There's stuff going on in front of you to entertain you, and you're like, nah, like back into my little world.
Do you think they were like reading, like, are they like looking at Twitch comments or some shit? Like,
I mean, some of them were on YouTube and like reading the comments. But I mean, they could. I don't think they all were. Like, I just feel like some people were uninterested, which is fair, you know. But there's, I don't know. It's just funny nowadays that we have like everybody has that knee-jerk reaction to just get on their phone, like pick this up, you know, like a good friend of mine that I work with, like every fucking time there's a dead conversation or something like that, he is on his phone. It is fucking insane. And I think there's a lot of people like that, and I think that's like such a problematic way to live, because you're literally you're not allowing yourself to be present ever. You're like, literally, this is like the doorway to never be present, because whenever you don't want to, I can just pick this up and boom, I'm out of the present moment, you know?
And you know, I can't even say I'm not guilty of it myself, but I think something that really helped me break that cycle was 4 months of continuously not having a phone. You know what I mean? And it was so, being in treatment, to not have access to anything ever. Like, I was literally like, it's like when an amputee like feels like phantom feelings in their toes.
Yeah, phantom
after
pain.
Their legs
Yeah,
already been chopped. Yeah, like that was, I was literally like feeling my phone vibrate in my pocket, but it wasn't even there. It was the strangest thing ever.
Yeah, because you were on social media heavy, and then it just went to nothing. Like, how did that? Like, did you have I don't know, withdrawals? How does it feel now, even being back, able to be on it?
It's something that I gotta watch, because my instinct around it is to be completely consumed by it. You know what I mean? Like, there's been times where like I could, you know, it'd be like one of those things, you could be talking to me and I'm on my phone, and you could like, I'm acknowledging what you're saying, but I'm not absorbing any of it. You could be like, hey, Nick, you know, I'm pregnant right now. And I'd be like, oh, word? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not even like, so it got to, so me, I have such a hyper addictive personality that I could get it. Like, the phone is something that I got to be very cautious of. Ideally, like, and I haven't been even subscribing to this recently. I've been fucking up, to be honest. But ideally, I do not want to look at any text or social media when I wake up in the morning until I've already done my morning ritual, until I've done my prayers, meditation, You know what I mean? Like, whatever it is, you know, smoke your cigarette, drink your coffee,
Yeah.
do all that before, like, ideally, any of that before I even glance at social media. Because it really consumes my mood. And it might not even be someone saying anything to me. It's just seeing something that bothers me. And I'm such a sensitive person. It's so easy to trigger me. It doesn't have to have anything to do with me. I can see a comment about Cardi B that I disagree with. I can see, you know what I mean? Like, I can see, like,
Yeah.
I can see people talking about battling when I don't even care or want to hear about battling. Or, like, why
Totally.
is this person getting more attention than me? Whatever. There's a million different things. Like,
Yeah. It's not a tool that's used to raise your frequency. It's a tool that's used
absolutely
to keep your attention. And how it keeps your attention is exactly that. Is like inciting some emotional response, which is never good. It's never it's never any good. I never go on there and I'm never like, God, fuck, I feel way better. I feel way better now that I was on there. But the only time you feel that is when you post something and get all this fucking gratification from it, which is the addictive nature of it. But yeah, it's not really a tool that's like used to raise anybody's frequency at all. Like even news, I see even news, and I'm just like, why do I care that fucking the Grammys are going on? Like, why do I give a shit about this? Why does it matter, like, that The Bachelor just happened? Like, you know, those aren't my interests, you know, like, you know, and that it's all fair game to people that they are interested in that. But, yeah, I just feel like it's a tool that's not really used in its fullest potential to be beneficial to us in a healthy way. I feel like often, if not always, it's used in a very, very unhealthy manner, and it affects us. It affects, I mean, I know it affected me super fucking heavy. Like, even before, like, the whole controversy thing happened to me, it's like, I was on there, like, at wild inappropriate times. I'd be out with my friends and be on fucking Twitter, and I'm like, the hell? I'm like, I don't remember this, like, good time being out with my friends watching a UFC fight because I'm on Twitter fucking tweeting about King of the Dot, you know? It's like ridiculous.
Right.
But
yeah, like when I first got my phone back, because all I was thinking about when they were releasing me from treatment is like getting on my phone and what's my first tweet gonna be, my first caption on Instagram. I had my first month and a half before I got out of treatment. I was like, I'm gonna fucking post a picture of myself and say sober as a gopher, yup. And I actually did that shit. You know what I mean? Like, when I first got my phone back, my eyes were glued to it for like 2.5 hours. I didn't even look up. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So I got a chat question for you. I fast with Bradley. Salute, man. I see you. He says, have you ever tried fasting for mental health or just overall health?
I like that idea a lot, and I'm definitely open to it. 100%. I would like to. I've been doing the opposite of fasting. Been eating hella much. I've been, which is a common thing to happen in recovery, but I'm definitely interested in learning more about intermittent fasting and fasting in general, and it's something that I'm open to learning about. Absolutely.
Hell yeah. All right, Lush. Well, that's about been an hour. You got any thing you want to end this episode off with?
I appreciate everybody. Again, anybody struggling with recovery or have any questions about it or just want to talk, my line is always open. You know where to find me on social media. I love doing these Runin Hours. I share every single one with my sober community, and a lot of people find that it's super beneficial and they learn a lot from it. So, again, salute to my brother Kyle for having this platform. You know what I mean? And like, there's not too many things that are like this in the world, and I think as many people that are privy to it as possible is nothing but a beneficial thing for society as a whole. So
dope. Lush, thank you, man. I appreciate